first of all, before anything, we at Nigeria LNG take safety very, very seriously. Safety is of paramount importance to us. So before we dive into the heart of today's event, let's begin with a safety briefing and introduction. I will start with that. I will take you through that safety briefing. So you're currently in the Moremi Hall, on the ground floor of Sheraton Hotels. There is no planned drill today, so if you hear any going off or any ringing, please take it as a real alarm or a real emergency. When you get that, step out from the main door that you just came through into the main hall. Step out from the main door and head towards the entrance that we care for you. As you come out for all the way to the car park, where points are, where the muster points are. Fire wardens will take you there, and everybody will be accounted for. If contact us, me, Ben, for anything, and we'll give us just of convenience, but once step out from this door, go to your right hand side. You see convenient for step out from the door, ask anyone there to show you. It's just right there somewhere. There's another one this other side to the left hand side, but it is after the elevator. Immediately after the elevator, you see convenience for male and female. I want you to relax. Today is going to be an exciting, interesting news. Of course, we are that news. So now we'll start the program. Please join me in welcoming our distinguished guests and members of the advisory board. I would introduce them. Play a crucial role. In today's proceeding. So while I introduce you, please would you please honor us and step out to take your seat. Seats are marked. I'd like to introduce to you sponsors of the prize. His name is Mr. Andy O'Day. He's General Manager, Relations and Sustainable Development. LNG. Welcome. Right after him is our host, the advisory board. They are hosting you, and they want to let you know what they be up to. Chairman of the advisory board, the distinguished Professor of Engineering, Professor Inaji. Welcome, sir. Also, member of the advisory board of the Nigeria Prize for Science is our distinguished Chief Doctor. May I add that Professor Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for your service. Also, on the advisory board is a distinguished professor, Professor Yusuf Abubakar. Welcome, sir. Now that our advisory board is seated, let's bring more people to the high table. We have here today our second rep from Nigeria LNG. He is the acting manager, corporate communications and public affairs of Nigeria LNG. Most of you know him. It's Yemi Adeyemi. Sometimes he's known as Otumba Yemi Adeyemi. So welcome him, please, to the high table. Please. Great. Thank you, Yemi. Now, the prize for science is a prize that seeks in science endeavors, innovation. It is a prize that every year awards a prize the best innovation for that year. And a group of people sit down to make decisions on who or what entries. Panel judges comprise judges, members outstanding records, outstanding profiles in their distinguished professions. I welcome to the high table Professor Joseph Ahaneku, the chair of the panel of judges. Thank you, Prof. You're welcome. And by his side is Professor Olaiton Sonyawo. She's also a member of the panel of judges. Please welcome her. The third member of that panel is Professor Abba Abdullahi. Professor Abba, welcome, sir. So, first, we're honored to have these brilliant minds with us today. And when I say brilliant minds, I mean they're the best of the best, as you can see. We want to also thank the sponsor, Nigeria LNG, for putting this together and ensuring that we bring scientists to spotlight, to be celebrated, and to be honored. So this year's prize has been an exceptional journey, filled with remarkable achievements. Some of you were here earlier on this year when we handed over the entries. And that entries went to the panel and went through a lot of process to get to where we are today. They're ready with the announcement, but before that is made, I would like to call the General Manager, External Relations and Sustainable Development of Nigeria LNG, Mr. Andy Ode, to give his welcome remarks. Yes. Yes, it's working. I think it's just turned on.
Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm really excited to be here again. As Elkanah said, It was very early in the year that we handed over the entries for 2023 to first the advisory board, then advisory board handed them over to the panel of judges. But so first of all, a very good morning. I know a lot of protocol has been done, but usually can't do enough by thanking Professor Barton Naji for leading this formidable team in ensuring the quality, the standard, integrity, even if I'm repeating those words, of the Nigeria Prize for Science. A very big thank you to you, Prof, for leading this team. Also to Chief Dr. Mrs. Nike Akonde for her support and the way she's helped to ensure that we don't only announce the prizes or the winners, but those things that happen thereafter in ensuring that we, in a certain way, market or bring the innovations and the winners to the public to ensure that they are constantly in touch with opportunities that will exist in either promoting the works or indeed the persons behind the work. So thank you very much. Also, Professor Yusuf Abubakar for being very steadfast. I really thank you for what you continue to do for the prizes, especially the prize for science. It's not for me to thank the judges for now because I didn't appoint them. They were appointed by advisory board, but that you're here. Really happy that you took time to look at the works. I'm sure Prof will say so much that he needs to say about what you've done. And my colleagues in Nigeria LNG, we sponsor the prize, we run the administration, but we don't get involved in all the workings that goes behind the scene to ensure that at the end of the day there is a winner or there is no winner. It's the responsibility of the panel of judges, led by, and of course, pretended by the advisory board. So I want to start by really, really thanking our colleagues and partners in the media for the support we continue to receive. Not just the Nigeria Prize for Science, but the Nigeria Prize for Literature as well. Indeed, the Nigeria Prizes, the support you give, without you, won't be in a state where everyone is aware of what the prizes are. And of course, the number of entries continue to increase from year to year. So really, really appreciate, first of all, your support, your partnership, and the level of resilience we continue to see, how you just keep focusing on what we do, what the prizes do, and what it means to Nigeria and the rest of the world. So a big, big thank you to you. Really appreciate your presence here today. Thank you very much. If you can, I know most of those that I'm talking to are the press, but I wish I could clap, but if you can clap for yourself too, I really appreciate that. So thank you very much. In time, we connect either as a group like this or we meet individually at any event. We as a company, NLNG, who are the sponsor, we don't fail to speak to the fact that without the press, we won't be where we are. And that's why we say, look, thank you again and thank you very much. As in the inception of the Nigerian Prizes, you have been worthy partners on this project. And the value you bring to it cannot be quantified. If we do all we do and you fail to report it, the world will know little or nothing about the prizes. So we appreciate you and look forward to your continued support, especially with talking about what we'll be hearing today by the time Professor Barton Naji speaks to the entry and, of course, if there's going to be a winner, the winner. Today we have come to a climax of the 2023 cycle of the Nigeria Prize for Science. As you're all aware, the journey started since February with the call for entries, which was closed on April 30. This year, as always, the advisory board, ably led by our own Professor Barton Naji, as always, went all out to pick the best to access the 100 entries that were submitted. I thank Professor Barton Naji and other members of the advisory board for their support and contributions to truly, truly make the Nigeria Prize for Science enjoy a deserving international appeal. Let me respectfully acknowledge Professor Joseph Ahaneku, Professors Joseph Ahaneku, Olaiton Showonwu, and Abdullahi Abba all medical experts and fellows of the Nigeria Academy of Sciences. As judges for this year, they did not just show unparalleled dedication to the cause, they displayed high level of excellence, a tenet which is one of our core values in Nigeria LNG. And we're happy that the basis for founding or instituting the prize is excellent. So we are really, really happy that the quality of our education continues to improve and remains strong. I'm sure that the expectation as to whether there will be a winner or no winner this year is high. But let me digress to remind you that the Nigeria Prize for Literature is already in a good run with a short list of 3 out of a long list of 11 announced earlier. Like you already are aware, the 3 shortlisted are Abidem Abolaji Ojomo with the Ojuelegba Crossroads, Obarigomba's Grits, and Henry Akubiolo's Yamatarawala, the Warrior King. Details of these and other updates on the Nigeria Prize for Literature, the Nigeria Prize for Science, and Nigeria Prize for Literary Criticism are on the prizes website at www.thenigeriaprizes.org. Back to today's event. The theme for this year's prize is Innovation for Enhancement of Healthcare Therapy. Nigerians would benefit a great deal if any of the submissions merit the $100,000 prize. Whether it merits it or it doesn't merit it, I will leave that to the advisory board to speak. But on behalf of my colleagues in Nigeria LNG, the board, the management of Nigeria LNG, I thank you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, for attending this event today, and we look forward to the outcome of today's press conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you. A round of applause for Mr. Andy. So, Mr. Andy has mentioned a lot of things. Among that is the Literature Prize. The Literature Prize, you must have heard about the shortlist of 3, and they will work their way to the Grand Award night on October 13th, when a winner will be announced. Today, the decision of the advisory board will be made known to you, and that winner, whatever that decision is, if there's a winner, that winner will also be honored at the Grand Award night. If there is none, well, let's hear them first. But I just wanted to bring your attention that, after all of this, there will be a grand ceremony to celebrate them. So watch out, follow our handles, our social media handles for more details. We'll be streaming this live on October 13th. So please follow us for more details as we provide, as we go along. Now, without further ado, I would like to invite the chairperson of the Advisory Board for Science, Professor Bath Naji, to speak and to give his announcement. Professor, sir.
Thank you very much. Let me first say good morning to the ladies and gentlemen of the press. Thank you for being here today. I would like to appreciate the management of the prize on the LNG and LNG side, represented here by Mr. Andy Ode. We really appreciate the quality of the process, because each year we have continued to get better and better. So those of us on the advisory board really appreciate that, because the actual rigorous work in the background is being done by them. So we thank you for the work. So permit me to begin this address by applauding the board and management of Nigeria LNG for instituting and sustaining what is arguably the biggest science prize in Africa, and generally for their sustained interest towards the advancement of scientific research, innovation, and technology in Nigeria and the world over. We hope that other corporate organizations will emulate them as they continue to demonstrate their passion for helping to build a better Nigeria and ultimately Africa. In February of this year, the advisory board of the Nigeria Prize for Science announced the call for entries for the annual prize, centered on the theme, Innovation for Enhancement of Healthcare Therapy. By the deadline set for submission, we had received 100 entries. The theme, Innovations for Enhancement of Healthcare Therapy, is significant because our nation, Nigeria, is in dire need of not just personnel for technology, but technology to enhance healthcare delivery system in our country and to save lives, and also invest huge funds pumped into medical tourism, into our ailing economy. Globally, we all know that Goal 3 of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, center on good health and well-being. And part of this is providing innovative, technologically based healthcare facilities that can help improve healthcare delivery services generally. A panel of judges was appointed to assess entries submitted for the prize. The appointed judges are seasoned academics who have wide experience, peer recognition, good public image, and command respect nationally and internationally. They are Professor Joseph Ahaneku, Fellow of the Academy of Science, Fellow of the Academy of Medical Sciences. He's the chairman of the panel. And Professor Olaiton Soyanwo, Fellow of the Academy of Science, Fellow of Nigerian Academy of Medicine. And another member, Professor Abdullahi Abba, Fellow, Royal College of Physicians of Ireland, Fellow, College of Chest Physicians of the United States. You can see that these are absolute international experts in medicine and medical sciences. And I will tell you, without equivocation, that the work they did was so fantastic. And I think this year we had the best process, and very, very clear. So we really appreciate the work you people have done. The choice of the judges reflects a multidisciplinary approach relevant to the theme in focus. A total number of 100 entries for the 2023 prize were handed over to the advisory board, and that after thorough scrutiny, 28 entries were found valid and handed over to the judges for independent evaluation. Each member of the panel was to evaluate the entries individually and submit to the prize secretariat. Thereafter, the panel convened to discuss and harmonize the submissions. The panel of judges submitted the assessment criteria after exhaustive deliberation, and the advisory board reviewed and approved the criteria, and this was adopted as the basis for an assessment of all the qualified entries. The approved criteria are as follows: evidence of originality, feasibility, acceptability, free of ethical issues, free of plagiarism, affordability, cost effectiveness, and accessibility. The template for full evaluation had two sections as follows: screening criteria 25 point marks and core criteria 75 marks. The screening criteria had elements such as academic track record, actually of quality of published works relevant to the entry, quality of the entry and recognition of the work, whether the work had earned a previous award or recognition. The core criteria had elements such as uniqueness of the entry, impact of the entry to the society, commercialization potential, soundness of the work, and whether the work had been patented with commercial track record. A total score of 100 was envisaged with a pass mark or cutoff mark of 80. The three judges, I should say that everyone here must have gone through some academic education. So when the cutoff mark is 80, you know that is a very high bar, right? So the three judges independently affirmed that the entries from Temitope Oshin, Sotoye Fine Face Organ, and Hippolyte Amadi Dimie Ogoina met all the guidelines for shortlisting and were subsequently presented to the advisory board on the 19th of July as shortlisted entries. The shortlisted entries were subsequently subjected to full-scale evaluation using a standardized template, also agreed by the judges and the advisory board. Each judge, as well as external consultant, sent the scores of the evaluated entries directly to the Secretariat for Collation. During the revelation of the collated scores from each of the judges and the external consultant in the presence of the panel of judges and members of the advisory board, it happened that each judge, as well as the external consultant, consistently scored the entry by one of the applicants above the mark of 80 with an aggregate score of 88 marks, while the rest were 62 and below. It had never happened. So it's just very clear that the winner of this year's prize just met the mark. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Advisory Board of Nigeria Prize for Science unanimously affirmed the consensus decision of the panel of judges and the external consultant, which declared the entry by Hippolyte Amadi, titled Low-Cost Respiratory Technologies for Keeping the Nigerian Neonates Alive. As the most outstanding entry in this year's Nigeria Prize for Science. The entry showcased 3 technological innovations aimed at saving the lives of neonates by making delivery of oxygen cheap and easy, namely the non-invasive neonatal ventilator, the key invention the bubble polite CPAP for continuous positive airwave pressure ventilation of very low birth weight neonates, a feasible alternative to the readily available improved bubble CPAP in cost-constrained settings, which is Africa. So it's an alternative and easily accessible. Then the second one is oxygen delivery blender system, allowing for a safe delivery of oxygen without the danger of toxicity. And third one, oxygen splitter system, allowing for the use of a shared source of oxygen to many. The reports from those centers have shown that delivery simultaneously to neonates at extremely reduced cost of 750,000 naira. That's what it would cost to have one of those devices, as against 6.5 million for the existing device with comparable and better efficiency. So it's comparable to what you would have bought from those coming from out of Africa, and better efficiency as a key. And the cost, 750,000 naira versus 6.5 million naira. The devices are currently in use in tertiary hospitals in all the geopolitical zones of Nigeria, thereby exemplifying the commercial track records and impact of the devices. One of Hippolyte Amadi's products, the Polite CPAP product, caused drastic reduction in the price of the existing brand, which is made by Fisher and Paykel model of CPAP in the market, underscoring the competitive economic optimum of the devices and their commercial potentials. Overall, the work of Hippolyte Amadi has not only significantly advanced neonatal care in Nigeria and similar countries, it has further improved access and lowered the cost of neonatal care by causing an observed reduction in the market prices of the devices. He is hereby declared the winner of the Nigeria Prize for Science 2023. Finally, we particularly thank the Nigeria LNG for their consistency and continued sponsorship of the prize in the face of our challenging economic and social landscape. Our appreciation also goes to ladies and gentlemen of the press for publicizing the prize and continuing to do so. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Wow, this is heavy. Our distinguished advisory board and judges, please permit me if I can break this down in layman's English. So this innovation is respiratory technologies for newborns, right, sir?
Yes.
For newborns. So you can imagine that impact. We're talking about our babies. Congratulations to Prof. Winner of the 2023 edition of the Nigeria Prize for Science for his outstanding contribution to science. His dedication and innovation have truly left an indelible mark on all of us. This is another dream come true for the Nigeria Prize for Science and for Nigeria LNG Limited. It's not just about the scientific achievement or innovation. It's not just about that. It's about touching lives and making a significant impact to help better our lives in Nigeria. This announcement is a testament that we have the power to redefine our lives. Now, it is your turn. We invite members of the press and the audience here to ask questions they may have about the award-winning research. And I'm sure you do have a lot. Members of the advisory board and panel of judges are here to break this further down for you. So, we're going to take set by set, three questions as a set, right? So please, someone should get a microphone. Any extra microphone? All right.
Thank you so much, sir. My name is Adeola Yusuf. I'm of the Platforms Africa. It's important that aside from congratulating the winner, thank the panel and the board for a job well done. At least the great work would have been seated somewhere without having this much limelight, if not for the effort of the panel, the board, and of course the Nigerian Energy Limited. Then the question, number one, I saw the efforts that Kana put into explaining or making this something that we will all understand. As members of the press, I think it's important for us to understand the basics of that technology, so that if we understand, we'll be able to let the public understand. Kana tried his best to say something that was so exciting to me when he said respiratory technology for the newborn. So I just want to maybe ask the question that, okay, aside from what he has said, what are other things we need to understand so that it will be easier for us to educate the public? That's number one. Then number two, I know that the panel would have gone through a lot to sort, to do this and that. I want to ask, what were the challenges you faced in ensuring that this work is done, and how were you able to overcome those challenges? Thank you so much.
All right. So we're just going to change the strategy a little bit. We'll give an answer to that. See, that's a very important question, I must say. So let's do that immediately. I'll call on the judges to tell us what this is and why they have chosen this. Panel is led by Professor Joseph Ahaneko. He's a professor of chemical pathology at the Nnamdi Azikiwe University. Sir, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman of the Advisory Board and the press, and my colleagues, the judges. As the Chairman of the Advisory Board announced, we had our parameters and we had the template for this assessment. But for the audience, as requested by one of us here, to really convey in a layman's terms and knowledge the true understanding that the press will capture concerning the innovations. I will call on one of us here, who is also a chest physician, and who invariably has visited some of the sites and the locations where we have the deployment of these technologies, to throw more light on this. Thereafter, I will take on the other question concerning the challenges, if any, that we encountered in the process of doing the assessment. Professor Saba.
Thank you very much, Chairman of the Advisory Board and Chairman of Judges Panel and the NLG. Thank you very much for this opportunity. It was an interesting interesting process to go through all the entries. And this particular entry actually came out tops because in terms of saving lives, it has the most impact, and also the effect is noticeable across. It has been tried and by many hospitals around the country. At least all the 6 geopolitical zones have tried. What happens when a child is born prematurely is that the lungs are not well kept to be able to take in oxygen. The main function of the lung is to get in oxygen from the air and then get out carbon dioxide into the air. So when that happens, it requires the lungs to be open to be able to absorb that. Unfortunately, when a child is born prematurely, a neonate is born prematurely, the lungs are not able to stay open. They are not able to absorb the oxygen that is brought in from outside. So the lung collapses. And when it collapses, it means that there is no oxygen. And there is no oxygen, there is no life to the child. So the aim of this invention is to be able to keep the lungs open by providing a pressure within the lungs continuously without necessarily putting in a tube. So it's non-invasive. It does not mean that you don't have to put in a tube to keep the lungs open. So that way the lung is able to get in oxygen without collapsing. And for these babies it's very important because they lack the surfactant, the substance that keeps the alveoli, the bubbles that take in the oxygen. So this invention is able to keep the lungs open, allow oxygen to come in, and allow the baby to survive, which is very, very important. The other thing is when you give oxygen to children, the amount of oxygen that is delivered is very important because oxygen is a drug and it can cause side effects, it can cause damage. When you give too much of it, it causes damage to the various parts of the body, the eyes, the lungs itself. And therefore, the second innovation is to be able to blend the oxygen with what is in the air to give the right proportion to the child without causing the side effects. The third is where you have oxygen being required by many neonates in the same center. And for each one of them, where you don't have piped oxygen, you need to provide an oxygen delivery system, either through the cylinders or through a concentrator. This one, the babies require very little amount of oxygen. And for you to have many of them at the same time, you need to provide all these cylinders scattered all over. What was done was to provide oxygen, one cylinder, for example, or one source that can be distributed to many of these children at the same time without causing all the clutter, all the space and requirement of having too many cylinders around. So these are three things that allow for delivery of oxygen to the children, and that is very important and easily accessible. And they can be run by solar panels, which means that we all know how difficult the problems we have regarding provision of electricity. So he has taken all that into consideration and they're available and being used around the country and successfully, and people are very happy with the products. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. I believe he has satisfied your curiosity. So, secondly, about challenges, we had elements and instruments for the assessment. If you're marking a script, you either have an open process or you have a closed marking system. In this one, we stratified the instrument for assessment. And as he said, the innovations submitted by this winner actually passed all the elements of our assessment. And secondly, for any innovation to attract and to be competitive, the innovation has to not only be an in-house project or material, it's something that has to be quality assured by other people. So in the case of this winner, he produced devices that have been authenticated by practitioners and other users across the country. Beyond that, he has published extensively, meaning that his work has been reviewed by experts globally. So with that, looking at three of us, from our basis and level of assessment of quality work in science, it was more or less seamless for us to separate the excellent work from the others. Because invariably the others, the three others, had merits in certain level, but could not and did not get to the level of this particular candidate. Because some of their works have not been quality assured by others. When you discover a new product, that product is tested, and if it has passed the test, the threshold required for the market and for uptake, then that product is what's being celebrated. So that was how we arrived at this particular candidate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Questions, please. Mike. We pass the mic. No, there's one there. There's one in the audience. Introduce yourself, sir, before the question.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Remy Weke is my name. I work with IT Rems Media. So thanks for inviting us to be part of this occasion. And congratulations to the judges and NLNG as well. My question goes to the panel of judges, maybe the chair. From the information given to us, or maybe also Professor Pat can also take that. We are told that the judges visited some places where this innovation is being deployed. It would be nice to have mention of those places to also back up the story we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we wanted to respond to this.
Oh, so sorry. I thought we were taking in batches.
Okay, no, go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. My name is Soporuchi Omuka. I write for the Oracle. I'm always pleased when I see our own Chief Nico Konde on the commercial side, and I see Professor Naji on the innovation side, and I know that something will happen. So we have seen what has been produced. Fantastic. It hits everybody here because all of us are either already fathers or want to be fathers, and we are parents. So it is very, very impactful, and I congratulate everybody that is seated on the high table. But now, as always, I have always wondered for somebody to crash price from about 6 point something million to
less than ₦1 million is very, very significant. It also shows that dollars are not involved. Yeah, and it also shows that there could be some good elements of indigenous content. So, how do we begin to produce this innovation from ideas to plant and product in terms of diversification, multiplication, and commercialization? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's take a break on that and let the advisory board panel judges answer that. Thank you very much. The first question was on the locations visited. Well, by the time the presentation will be made fully, I'm sure the literature on this, you will be able to get that. But for now, let me also call Professor Abba to list and mention some of the centers across the country where we have the deployment of these devices. Professor Abba.
Thank you very much. I think the devices have principally been used in Niger State. There is one Jumai medical center in Mina where it is extensively being used. It's not only this, which is the submission, which is centered on providing oxygen to the neonate, but also other devices that have been invented by the same gentleman. And it has been extensively used both in Mina, Maiduguri, University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, is used at University of Abuja Teaching Hospital, and in Abakaliki and other federal medical centers around the country. So it is in extensive use, and the price of the original non-invasive ventilator, which was 6.5 million, actually crashed down to 3.5 million after the introduction of this particular product to 3.5 million. So it has actually forced the manufacturers from Australia particularly to bring down their price to 3.5. But it's still not up to the level that this one is being sold. And the more it can be available and sold to different areas, the more the price comes down. And the maintenance of the original apparatus is about 260,000 naira, as opposed to this one, which is only 23,000 naira. So it's really brought down. And there was no difficulty in selecting this particular entry. It has made a lot of impact, and all the pediatricians are very happy with the products. There are others for bringing down the level of bilirubin, the substance that causes jaundice in babies, which can also cause damage. He has produced that also, and it is available. And also for those bringing down or bringing up the temperature of young babies also. He has done a lot on that, and he has been covered by CNN. There is a clip by CNN on this some of these products. They are very easily available and very easily used. So it will not be restricted only to Nigeria. I guess if the production is available and with the right support from Nigeria NLG, having brought him out into the open, I think it will be available to the whole of Africa. And I think that is a big plus for Nigeria NLG for identifying such a person. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I will now hand over to the Chairman Advisory Board for the commercial content of the second question.
Thank you very much, Prof. I'm glad that she asked the question about why the price crashed so much. It's all about local content. Because if the components for the device are bought from abroad, you definitely are going to not have that level of crashing. I must say, we are the ones really holding ourselves in this country. There was a speech I gave a couple of weeks ago where I talked about in the 70s and 80s that cars were being manufactured in Nigeria, and that these cars had local components made, which meant that we didn't have to be using foreign exchange to buy the components. At that time, we were making tires here. Michelin, Dunlop, they were making tires here. They're making tires from rubber produced in Nigeria. This other company in Bauchi was making tractors, Asteria, and the components were also being made in Nigeria. That's how you address issue of foreign exchange. It's not just something that you just decide, okay, today I'm going to cut down, or no, you don't do that. It's products. If we make products, then we're going to we're going to make foreign exchange competitive, but also the product we're making will compete with international products. And in this case, there is actually no way for that Australian made device to compete with the one made by Hippolyte Amadi. It's just not going to be able to compete. And so if we also do the other part, which is let us use our own homemade products, then we are going to be going somewhere. But we seem to trust other products made from elsewhere. Same thing in so many areas. This is a subject of another day. But for this, it is about local content. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I requested to say a word or two because he mentioned my name. I would like to let him know that apart from what we are doing with you here, we also have meetings with Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and NASIMA, and other commercial agencies, because what LNG is doing is extremely important, and we want manufacturers to benefit from this. And this is why we need you, apart from us, we need you to help us publicize all these activities of the LNG. And also, if other organizations emulate LNG, Nigeria would be a better place. And also, I was a Minister of Industry, two-time Minister of Industry, and I know we want to encourage the local industries to manufacture these products, because LNG has done the work for them. Let them take the benefit and use it to manufacture the products, so that the prices will come down. And it takes time, but we will definitely get there. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Angela Moso. I work for the Punch newspaper.
That's my paper.
My question goes to Professor Abba. I think Professor Joseph too will be able to make input to it. Sir, well, from all the reports we have had so far, global reports and local reports, Nigeria is likely not to achieve the SDGs because we have a very bad maternal and child health indices. And now we are having this wonderful innovation because our children are dying under 5. And now we talk about neonates, that is under 28 days. They are really dying. You have a lot of them, apart from premature birth. We have birth asphyxia. Prof, you agree with me? Many of them do not cry because they have issues, and where they give birth to TBAs. So after that, a lot of issues that has to do with respiration and the demand for ventilator and oxygen. Now, I'm a senior health correspondent. In fact, I'm a deputy editor to Punch Headwise. We've come to notice from COVID, even the time of Ebola, that we have local innovation to solve our problems in the health sector. But most times, you get to see suppression and they want everything foreign. Now, LLNG has helped us to solve this problem by announcing, giving this man space to show his work. And we can see that within Nigerian space, we can have a technology to solve our own problem, and a very big problem at that. Now, I want to ask these two questions, Prof. Rising from here, what should be the environment, or what support should be given to this winner so that we'll be able to have these technologies in all the hospitals, especially in our primary healthcare centers, because a lot of them are taking deliveries in the rural areas to ensure that our neonates no longer, survive above 5 years, the 5th birthday. So what should be done so that not after this announcement, everything, before you know it, when we go to check in our hospitals, they are no longer available. We keep importing. I don't know whose interest, but what should be done differently now to ensure that this technology stays and then gets to every hospital in the country, especially those in the rural areas. And then secondly, Prof, you said, Professor Abba, you said the technology is an invasive, non-invasive technology. In terms of handling, it's cost-effective, very easy, accessible. But in terms of handling, I don't know if our health workers have been trained or they can easily handle it or they require a special training. So it's very, very important. The technology is available, but now, in terms of handling it, the health workers are nowhere to be found or they cannot handle it. I don't know if that has been put into consideration, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You can sense that passion. You can sense the passion from those questions you asked. And she's introduced herself as senior health correspondent. She knows what she's talking about. So, because of that, I will just hand over to the advisory board and the judges to answer that question so that we can attend to that. Thank you.
Yes, I will answer this first one about support, and then we'll have the panel address the issue of training, the non-invasive nature. Just in general on that, the very fact that it's non-invasive it must be easier to train than when it is invasive. But they will give you more clarity on that. Now, if I go back to my point about use of locally manufactured products, it is the same thing for this device as it would be for locally manufactured vehicles, for example. Okay? When I was Minister of Science and Tech, and my colleague, who were ministers at some point together, my first coming as Minister of Science and Technology, all my vehicles as minister were Peugeot vehicles. They were all Peugeot vehicles, 504, 505. And we were very happy with the vehicles. Even the president drove a Peugeot vehicle. But it's no longer like that. It's all about policy of government. You have responsibility to publicize how the country should really function in terms of that aspect. That's your role. Because we need to go back to change the mindset, the allure for foreign devices, foreign-made products. Okay, the governments at different levels have the various hospitals. They could say that this product should be used They will purchase the devices and for use in different hospitals. They are the ones who actually own most of the hospitals. That's how it works. That's what other countries do. Yeah? I remember when India had that clunky vehicle of theirs, but all the officials of government drove those vehicles. And now they have very fine vehicles manufactured in India. So it's us. We are the ones who will decide that we want to reduce the hemorrhage in foreign exchange by using products made in Nigeria. That's it. There's nothing other than that. And government has capacity to do it. Government can decide we want these devices in their hospitals. So that's that.
Thank you very much. Before I call on Prosaba and Professor Sanwo to also address some issues concerning the non-invasive nature of the device, I want to also add to what the chairman of advisory board just said. The winner of this prize, from what we have in terms of documentation, is already in public space in a way. Because if you Google the Inside Africa innovators, if CNN, they searched out this man, a Nigerian, working and producing devices in this country. And that is actually why we are very pleased that you are here. Because you will help, the media will help to also advertise and amplify the essence of this particular product. And I'm convinced that, as the chairman advisory board said, if the stakeholders, governors, policymakers, the operators in the system are invited and their attention drawn to what we are celebrating, and that of patriotism, we have to start by ourselves and with ourselves by solving the problems confronting us. If we fail to solve the problems confronting us, I wouldn't think any person out there will start addressing our challenges. So it's all about us, and it's all for us to really and clearly start patronizing things made by us, and in all spheres, not only in medical devices. As a matter of fact, almost 99.9% of the devices in the medical space, they are imported. But this one already is being celebrated and is available. If a state like Niger State, they've deployed in their state, other governors should key into this kind of process, and it will move around and it will go around. And that is the only way we will start really solving and even improving our currency value. And there's no other way. So, Prosaba.
Thank you very much. I think regarding the use of this innovation, particularly the CPAP. C means continuous, PAP means positive airway pressure. So you need to, for these children, you need to maintain a pressure, a positive airway pressure within the airways so that it doesn't collapse. And for maintaining that will be either by invasive means or non-invasive means. This device makes it possible to maintain this pressure without actually putting a tube inside the chest of the patient. Now, it requires some training. Obviously, it requires some training. And as you know, there are some people who are using these devices for other things. Adults, for example, who have got sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is a situation where you have, you hear people, if some of the ladies around may have their husbands snoring a lot, and that may be due to sleep apnea. And they require CPAP machine to maintain the airways while they sleep. Now, this requires a bit of training, a bit of adjusting the pressure that is required to keep the airway open. So that is the training that is required, and it can be handled by virtually everybody. You can easily take it around and use without having to go into intensive training in ventilation. So that is required, and I believe it comes with every purchase. If anybody purchases the machine, there should be that training, and it should be seen to be functioning properly. Now, whether it will be available easily, it is, I think now that you are here, the media is here, it will be our duty to help us go around and make sure that this is available to everybody. Now you know what it is. You go around and ask, why are you not using this machine? I know that there may be some vested interest in certain things, in purchasing some of these things. But obviously this is of very high importance in maintaining the lives of neonates, because it makes it easily available, it makes it, it is easy to use, and there is no doubt that it is, it can be maintained and used effectively. So there is no other, it is homemade. It is homemade, so we are hopeful that you will propagate it and make sure that all the zones in the country are using it. Now that the NLLG has brought it out to the open, you follow it up and make sure that it is utilized to save our small babies. Thank you very much, Professor.
Thank you very much for raising that question, and I appreciate your passion. And that passion also centers on our healthcare system. And this, the candidate, the identified winner, actually also worked on that, because he started his work in a tertiary institution, in a university teaching hospital, I think in Calabar. And then he publicized what he was doing in scientific journals and at scientific meetings, including the Nigerian Society, the Nigerian Association of Pediatrics, their national conference, and other pediatric conferences. And he published his work in several international journals where it will be visible. Apart from that, you know, these babies we're talking about, the babies he worked on are the extremely low birth weight babies. Their weights were between like 500 to 1,000 grams. Imagine 1 kilo of meat, and that's a human being. At the peripheral level that you are talking about, the primary health cares, there should be a mechanism whereby they can be cascaded quickly, because time is of essence, to facilities, either locally or maybe they have some tertiary cares there, or tertiary level. Even in developed countries, they can be flown if they don't have the facilities in those primary healthcare level to where the other facilities, just like when you're talking about accidents and treating patients like that. So those things, that's where you come in. Professor Abba has mentioned the issue of skills acquisition and transfer, and education. And we need the press to work with those in technology, those in the healthcare system, to identify these areas of need and also know how we can synergize and bring what we have to those who need them most. Thank you very much.
Professor Olaito, just hold on to the mic. Just hold on to the mic. We'll take the last question.
No, we will not finish with the clarification on this.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Prof. Indeed, I just want to, also put across, further clarification for our benefit. One might think that winner of this prize is a physician or somebody working in the hospital. This is another dimension that in our knowledge and knowledge transfer that we are not supposed to be working in silos. He's an engineer. And he actually applied his skills and talents, visited hospitals in order to really assess the challenges we are facing in the hospitals. And he started addressing these challenges. And here we are today with these devices. And I want to tell us that in most cases where you find medical devices, they are not produced by those who are in the hospital as medical doctors and medical practitioners. These are devices that are made by engineers in collaboration and using and having knowledge of the applicability of these devices in the hospital setting. So as a laboratory, for instance, we use a lot of facilities. And these facilities, either people in mechanical or material metallurgical and all that, they are the ones that produce most of these devices. And when they produce, they will prepare your manual, and these manuals will be so simplified in a manner that anybody will read and understand and can apply. For instance, I'm sure a lot of you know glucometer. Glucometer is a device. In looking at that device, the training for you to use glucometer is not something that is tedious. So it is for this kind of device. If you read and through very soft training, even if you are just a self-made person that you are knowledgeable enough to go through the manual, you will be able to use the device as well. So I want to say that collaboration is very important. We need to deploy our competencies and capabilities in terms of knowledge in order to keep solving the problem confronting us as a people. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Now, we're just going to just amplify a little bit on the interdisciplinary nature of some work. This is very important, that the engineer would go to study the problem and solve it and by creating the technology that addresses it. When I was head of a U.S. National Center of Excellence in America, even though we were working in robotics and artificial intelligence, but there was work going on in our center that had to do with building a robot that would go in a war environment and extract the patient, somebody who was hurt, so that it's not a human being that will go, and provide aid right there. It's engineers working with doctors that will solve that problem, that kind of problem. So I think we have to climb out of what Prof said is silos and begin to think about multidisciplinary nature of problem solving. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So we'll take the last question. You can direct your other questions. They are available. What? Okay. All right. So we'll just take two questions, two last questions. If they are here for you, they have you can approach them for interviews right after this press conference. So two last questions.
Okay, sir.
Sorry, I'll start with Mr. Taiwo. Then.
Thank you very much. I believe you can hear me. Yes. I am happy that we have senior journalists here. Seated next to me is a publisher. We have publisher there, we have publishers, we have senior. All the answers that the distinguished people there have given us regarding what next. My name is Obey, I'm a teacher. I teach journalism. Work for the journalism academy. You will see that all the answers that were given to the questions that she raised was about us. So they threw it back to us. Yep. So what are excellence? LNHD is a poster child or poster company for Nigeria because of the quality of people, the quality of work, and how I heard Prof, or the two profs,
the advisory board chairman and the chairman of the panel of judges talk about
passion, professional process. We also can see the passion in you, and we are also happy and grateful to you for the great work you've done here. I would like to also, of course, say thank you to Nigeria LNG, especially my colleagues who worked tirelessly from the best. Thanks today will go to you, ladies and gentlemen of the press, for what you've always done, what you will continue to do to make sure that these prizes, especially the winning entries, receive the due attention that they should get from the world. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Do enjoy the rest of your morning. Oh, it's afternoon already.
Still morning, actually.
Still morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yemi Adeyemi. So with that, we thank you for joining. For those online, we thank you for watching. Congratulations again to Professor Hippolyte Amadi. Before we go, we'll just, I'm talking to the distinguished guests on the high table who would like to capture this moment. So we'll, from now, go to photograph. But with that, I bring this to, the event is finally ended. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Yes, please stand up, sir. All right, photographs. All right. All right. So please, if you may, just step out this way and then stand here. So as you step out, I'll call on Mrs. Anne-Marie Pamaikoko to join them. Mrs. Anne-Marie Pamaikoko, please join. That would please arrange them. All right. All right. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. You can approach the judges. You can approach the advisory board for any interviews, please. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.